Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Simon from Siphon TCG, and I'm coming to episode 1 of Tales from Rathe. And today we will actually be discussing how I actually got into Fab. I felt like there's no better way to start off a series than start with an origin story. So, what this series is going to be, this is going to be me just recalling some adventures, some stories from my time in Flesh and Blood, and I've actually already had a few that I'm excited to tell in later episodes, and hopefully I create some more. So let's not dilly-dally on. I like to use the word dilly-dally around here, and no one can stop me. Today we're going to talk how I got into Fab, so everyone close your eyes, and let's go. It was one day on Thursday, playing Magic the Gathering, playing Modern. The competitive scene was dying out. This is at least the beginning of the decline of competitive Magic the Gathering as of right now. There are still events, obviously, but they are not like they once was. A lot of big names from Magic have looked at Flesh and Blood, or they just have quit entirely. You have Hasbro just creating Secret Lair after Secret Lair, and it is a very sad time to be a Magic the Gathering player, especially a person very financially invested and a lot of time that could be spent elsewhere being invested into this one source and it not really paying out the dividends. So, going up to my local shop in Chillicothe, Ohio, shout out to Total Gaming Experience. I go just to hang out, and there's some friends playing a game called Flesh and Blood. Now, this is a game that I largely dismissed as child's play, never gonna make it. Oh look, they probably had to pay like people like LSV and the Professor just to advertise their game. Was the set Tales of Aria? Well, that just sounds like Everfest. Well, that just sounds stupid. This game will never succeed. Whatever. But going up today, this day, things are gonna be a little bit different. I sit down, and I was asked would I like to learn how to play Flesh and Blood. And I say, you know what? Sure, why not? I'll learn how to play. I'll have it as like a little side game that I play on the low end. I'll probably invest like $5 or $10 into it. So, two of my friends are playing Bravo versus Oldham, and all I can remember is the Bravo player blocking with half his hand and swinging hammer for 6. And there were some other fellows there, and we just kept making joke. Wait, is this all you do in this game? Is just swing for 6 with like block and swing with this hammer? That just seems lame. I'm just cracking jokes left and right. Little do I know, my life's about to change. As I patiently wait my turn to learn how to play, another friend of mine, same as Peyton, takes me and says, hey, I'll go ahead and teach you how to play. I have a few decks on me. And I say, sure. He gives me the option of a few decks, and mind you, I know how to play absolutely zero of these decks. So I take the deck that says, when I discard certain cards, I take cards from your hand. Called Intimidate. That's Rhinar. And in my head I'm like, well, that has to be busted. I just get to take cards from your hand for just by playing the game. That's busted. And he's playing a deck called Chain. And he's like, it's just like Dredge. I'm like, it's just like Dredge? Well, that just seems busted. So I have a wonky version of Rhinar versus full power Chain. Now, I believe you had Ball Lightning, Plunder Run, and all that stuff. So all that stuff's legal. Like, obviously you can't play the Ball Lightning, but like, I'm just saying like the power level of the cards. Starvo was a legal deck at this time. Didn't even know what Starvo was. I sit down and I'm learning how to play. Mind you, I have zero clue what I'm doing, and I play face up for a large portion of the game. And after like a little practice game, I couldn't even tell you the result. I played one real game, and lo and behold, I won. Now, looking back at it, I don't know if he allowed me to win this game on purpose, or if I legitimately won. Who knows? But I won. I won my first ever game of Flesh and Blood. And I don't want to say I was hooked at this time, but I was very interested. So, after hanging out, after talking for a while, I asked, hey, if I wanted to get in this game, what's the best precon I can buy that will be the closest thing to a competitive deck? The options I had was Levia, Bolton, or Chain. These were just the Monarch precons, those were the only ones available at the time. I was told out the gate, Bolton would probably be the best one, but Chain is the most competitive deck, even though that Blitz deck didn't play a lot of the cards that Chain played in CC. I said, that's fine. So, I spent the $12. I got me a Chain Blitz deck. Didn't worry about upgrading it or anything. I just wanted to play some Flesh and Blood. So, I play some games with Chain versus the shop owner. Now, I don't remember what deck he was on. I want to say he was on Odom at the time. But realistically, he could have literally been on anything. I wouldn't have known. I got my teeth kicked in the whole entire night. Because I'm playing this deck that's like, I have this cool other hand, but like I'm being forced to block all these cards that have Blood Debt. Wait, Blood Debt? I take damage if I don't play these cards that you're giving me? Well, that just seems stupid. I can see where it's powerful, but it seems a little unfair. Fair and Chain. Those are two words that you're not allowed to say unless the word un's in between both of them. But I would say, after playing a few games and actually understanding how to play the game, I was very interested. I wasn't ready to go all in, but I did at least think today was a successful day. I get home, my roommate's in the duplex next to me the way I live. At the time, I lived in a two-sided duplex where one was ground level, well not ground level, but floor level, and then one was upstairs. I go upstairs to his side, and I go like, hey Michael, his name is Michael. You guys have probably actually seen him in a few videos. I'm like, hey, dude. So I learned how to play Flesh and Blood today. I know we were both talking about possibly learning. And he's like, oh yeah, I have one. I learned too. Caleb came over. I was like, wait, what? You learned how to play too? So funny enough, both of us learned how to play Flesh and Blood in the same day. But neither one of us talked about actually doing it that day. And it was probably one of the most magical things ever. Because mind you, I go to the shop, I learn how to play. A buddy of ours comes over, teaches him how to play. And this was the same day, uncoordinated. I don't think you can make it better than that. I was the only one at the time that actually owned a deck. I obviously owned the Blitz Chain deck. And this is where we get to our first road bump in the story. The first deck he bought was Prism. This is full power Prism. Now there's a few reasons why. Obviously we both played Magic. He enjoyed playing mid-range, he enjoyed playing instant speed, being able to react to what people are doing. But the issue is, he was a Lantern player. For those who don't know what Lantern is in Magic, it is a degenerate stall deck that aims to say, you're never going to get to draw a relevant card, and I'm going to mill you out. I'm not going to play anything. You're not going to play anything. You're going to lose. Have fun. And he loves his Prism. So when people was talking about Prism, he was thinking they were saying prison and locking people out. Funny enough, Prism actually ended up being a prison and locking people out, but not in the way we initially thought. He buys Prism. We go to the shopping mall in Kentucky. and there's some boxes of Monarch, and he buys 4 boxes of Monarch. I want to say this is maybe a week after, maybe 2 weeks after this initial part of the story. One thing actually opened up, funny enough. I believe it was I Have a Video. I believe I Have a Video came out of that set. Because I remember going into this little group chat that we were in, and I was like, hey guys, I love combo. What's a good combo deck? The first deck I got told was Katsu, because half of his cards will say combo. I ended up being kind of incorrect. But one of the suggestions was Kano, because it is probably the most degenerate combo deck, and it was similar to one of the first ever decks I played in the constructed format, which was Storm and Magic. I'm not going to really get into exactly what all that entails, but if you understand, you understand. I needed some of the cards that he opened. Unfortunately, couldn't afford all of them. Did get some of them though. Now we sit here. My friend has full power Prism. I have half power Chain. And I get my teeth kicked in every single game. But then, hold on. There's hope. There is a website that pretty much sells starter decks, not traditional Blitz decks, but starter decks that are supposed to get you more up to speed with the Blitz and CC format. And here I was like, aha! I finally have a powerful deck. I'll be able to compete with him. Tales of Aria was the set that spoke the most to me, so I got a Briar deck, a Oldhim deck, and a Lexi deck. I ended up also getting a Viscera deck. And what I did was I also got on TCG Player and looked up some staple cards that went in all these to kind of upgrade them a little bit more. So I had all of every common and uncommon from Tales of Aria, and I had like these starter decks. I threw a bunch of stuff together and said, hey, I have some CC decks. Obviously without equipment, that was relevant. We did our best. I did our best to win some games. And man, I actually put up a fight with some of those decks. But sadly, I got my shit pushed in. It was a rough time, I'm gonna be honest with you. Fast forward a little bit, so we can get some of the juicier parts. The first ever deck I settled on was Katsu. There was a race between Katsu and Briar. Funny enough, I said the way I wanted to build Briar was going to be a very earth-centric Briar, a very defensive Briar. I just want to do a whole bunch of blocking. Little did I know, that's not really how Briar worked. I was thinking, oh, well, I'm making all these embodiments of Earth, so I'm going to use all the Earth cards to help me block. Yeah, how very naive I was at the time, but obviously I was a new player. The deck was going to be a little too expensive, but there's this deck called, like, Katsu? Is this Ninja deck? Ninjas are cool, I guess. Wait, I can pretty much get the whole entire deck for 200 bucks? Full power? Oh, sign me up. I was told by multiple people, don't build Katsu. Deck's bad. Deck's like one of the worst decks in the whole entire game. It's like tier 4. But at the same time, the reason why I was okay with it is going to be a deck I could call my own. This was going to be my first ever deck. And that's why Katsu always holds a special place in my heart. As bad as he currently is. Well, with Dynasty coming out, we might actually see the resurgence of Katsu. He was my first ever deck. That was full power. So finally I got my Mask of Momentum. I got my Shiny Kodachis. I got everything. I was ready to go. Still didn't win a single game against my friend's Prism deck, but that was alright. We found out Prism was one of the most powerful decks in the format, and it like dunks on like every single deck for like no reason. That's why I lost, not because of skill. This was Prism's busted deck. In Cincinnati, Ohio, we're in the middle of the ProQuest season. Starvo is on its tear. It's around 600 to 800 points. I attend my first ever ProQuest. And I brought Takatsu. Now, I would say at this time I knew like the general meta. I could at least like tell you what most of the heroes did and like their playstyle, but like a lot of the cards, couldn't name a lot of cards. Had to read a lot. But like I would say like the top 2 decks in the meta, which was Starvo and Prism, I knew who made those decks 6, and I knew those decks were dangerous. I can't really recall my round for round, but some of the moments that do stick out to me was my round 1. My round 1 was against Chain, and I ended up losing this match, but it was actually a really fun back and forth match. Now mind you, this is my first ever I played an official tournament. I played in a ProQuest before I even played in a local. At my local LGS. That's how like ripe I was. Played against Shane. I lost. Very, very, very close game. I would say if I was to play the same match now, I think I win that, because I know obviously how to play a little bit better. He was able to smartly block my second Kadachi swing every single turn. I didn't really know all the power cards to block. I didn't really know exactly how to play that matchup. I didn't know you can just fatigue this guy. But hey, it is what it is. I lost, but our player won. And here we start my first ever ProQuest event and my first ever Flesh and Blood event. Round 2, I face a Starvo. And all I can recall from this match is my opponent saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, Starvo activation, Okanode Fuse, Swing Hammer. I'm like, that's fine. Next turn, reveal to Starvo, Crippling Crush fused. Oh, well that sucks. That's fine. Turn 3, Crippling Crush, Starvo activation. I'm like, okay. Opponent goes, wow, I think I just high rolled you. I'm like, let me take a wild guess. What do you have? Spinal Crush? Swing Hammer? I'm like, yep, I think I'm just dead next turn. He's like, no, I don't get to activate Starvo this turn. I actually drew a bad hand. So I actually get like a really good turn because I just decided to stop blocking. And I get to swing back like a solid 5 damage. Like a respectable 5 damage. And opponent just swings hammer, passes. And I'm like, alright, here we go. I got a 5-card hand. Let's pop off. I do like a 15 damage turn, but he did not block with a single card. So I'm just like, I'm dead, aren't I? He's like, yeah. He goes, reveal to Starvo. I want to say was it Arms Touch? It was some Earth attack. Oh, it was Break Ground and a Hammer Swing. And I had to block my whole entire hand or I would have died. Then he goes Okanode Fuse with Pommel, and I'm like, okay. Well, I was never going to win that match. It is what it is. It ended up looking decently close, but he didn't block a single time. And I got one turn where like I actually did a decent amount of damage. Round 3. Can't really recall what I went against. All I remember is I lost. I remember I lost. So at this point I was 1-2. I then go into my round 4. And I faced Levia. And like in the back of my head, I was always told, Levia and Azalea, worst 2 heroes in the game. Not even close. Well, mind you, I'm still new, so like I'm like somewhat confident in this matchup. But I'm confident it's because everyone tells me it's bad. I'm not confident because I know how to win. I end up getting him in a very, very, very close game. And the dude actually ended up drawing bad, which is one of the things that helped me win. which also made it scary. If he was like halfway decent, I think I'd just lose. And that just would have been heartbreaking. But we ended up winning. Last round I get the bye. Ended up going 3-2. Weirdly enough, I placed like really low. But overall, going 3-2 my first ever ProQuest event. I don't think that's too shabby. We got one legitimate win under our belts. Sorry, I was 2-3. I apologize. But getting one legitimate win under my belt, my first ever event, I think we'll obviously take that. But it was what happened afterward, which was probably the best part. I told shop owner I'm looking to build Briar, like full power. Like I'm using my money, I'm going to build Briar. So he actually allows me to borrow his deck and do some playtesting with, and I absolutely fell in love. I beat our local Bravo player. His name's Patrick. I think nowadays a lot of people would know who he is. He is still one of the only Bravos that you'll see at events in Ohio. And he usually will be at the top table because he's been playing Bravo for over a year. And only Bravo. I saw like 2 weeks that he played Phi. But I absolutely loved what I seen out Briar, and I'm traditionally not even an aggro player. I'm a combo control guy. I like those two archetypes, and whichever archetype I can lean into more is what I'm going to do. But Briar just felt powerful. Just felt good to play. So I ended up building full power Briar, and that's where we won our story. We went to our first pro quest. We did okay. We got our cheeks pushed in. We even had a couple teammates arguing over a tie. But overall, we had fun. We learned, and I would say a success. And this leads into our next event, which will be the 10K in Columbus, the first one held by Realm Games. If you guys enjoyed this little story, leave a comment down below. Tell me about what you enjoyed about it. Share some of your stories down below as well. I would love to hear them. If you guys are on Twitch, follow the stream. If you guys are on YouTube, like, favorite, and subscribe. And again, please comment down below. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. This has been your voice aside from some type from TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.